I'm going to be presenting our seems to be some slides missing, but I'm going to be presenting today our solution-based approach, where we work tirelessly to try to bring these readily available and these scalable innovations into the limelight. And it's before that I dive into these solutions, I think that I'd like to tell you a little bit about how we started. Our point of realization came in COP15, as well as the World Business Summit held in Copenhagen in 2009. And it was this climate summit that had a little bit of an uninspiring or a lackluster result, where it wasn't possible really to achieve those comprehensive agreements or those binding ambitious treaties. And that's where it's pictures like this, where we have these exhausted climate negotiators, or these frustrated activists, or melting icebergs, or people on the run from flooding, that really kind of became the symbol of climate change. And it's with this doom and gloom perspective that we saw how society, how politicians, how the private sector stakeholders started to give up and lose faith a little bit in the ability to be able to change our collective future. This is, of course, not to undermine the consequences of climate change. We're not naive. But we strongly believe that in order to drive people to change their behavior, we need to get them to feel inspired and motivated. So at Sustainia, we believe that we have developed a new approach towards sustainability, one that seeks to really reshape that narrative of doom and gloom that is typically associated with climate change. So it's very much so, I have a dream approach. Then let's psychoanalyze my nightmares. It's that positive approach that needs to showcase that we can do something about it. An approach that can excite people. An approach that can reignite sustainability through action. And people like to follow inspiration and vision, not those worst-case scenarios. So we started to set out this new language, this new narrative, and try to kickstart this journey of solutions that are at work today. And it's really moving from that old lingo, the overcomplicated, highly abbreviated, that might even take a PhD to really understand, into that simpler, more easy to digest context that enables everyone, not only the scientific communities, to understand and in turn engage on the different levels of activities that are really relevant to them. So with this, we really seek to build that world of tomorrow with those solutions that are available today. It's by focusing on those tangible solutions that are readily available, financially viable, and scalable that we're able to tell a different story. A story on what we can do. A story on what we can achieve. A story of fascinating societies that we could create using innovation and the knowledge that we currently have at our disposal today. Innovation has taken us so far over the last decades. And where sustainable practices are really fun, they're engaging, they're appealing, they're smart, but they improve our quality of life. So this is where we hope that we can clearly see and take ownership of that desirable tomorrow. So to be able to embrace our society at large, Sustainia tries to focus on our 10 sectors that we uniquely define and that we've been developing individually with our sector and our knowledge partners. So today we have our building sector, we have our fashion sector, and our health sector. And each year we're going to be further developing the newer sectors along with how they are connected to each other. Because it's really that interconnectivity of these different sectors that is key if we want to successfully implement sustainable living as well as smarter cities. So within the Sustainia 100, we work to identify solutions within these 10 sectors, and these include much more than maybe renewable energy or solar or wind. They try to incorporate a lot of the different factors. And that's where, in order to find those best solutions, we look from around the world and we have a continuous call for solutions year-round. So where innovators can actually come and submit their projects, and people can tip us on the different projects that they've been involved in, that they support. Supplemented with our own research, our active partner network, this brings to light solutions from high-tech to low-tech, from commercial to catalytic philanthropy to impact investing, etc. There's an enormous diversity in the different solutions that are out there, depending on what type of communities that they're trying to have an impact on. So in only a little over a year, this drive has been very successful, working up a data bank of over 1,000 different solutions from every corner of the world. We published this guide this guide of the 100 innovative and inspiring solutions to show that there are really action heroes out there that are successful at what they're doing, and they're pioneering in their own regard. We just released this year's guide in London 2 weeks ago, and that I would like to give an exclusive interview or exclusive introduction or snapshot into. We had over 1,000 solutions that we screened. We reviewed about 500. Then we vetted approximately 250 with our external advisory board to end up with these 100 highly interesting solutions. And this year's 100 selected solutions represent some outstanding innovations, from Canada to Kenya, from Guatemala to India. It's these types of solutions that have been successfully deployed in 128 different countries, and that are transforming local communities, both big and small, for people, for the planet, and for the bottom line, for profit. So today I wanted to give some insights to some of those solutions that we have published and their co-creation abilities towards those smarter cities. Because after all, what makes a smarter city? That's what we're here talking about today. What makes a smarter city? It's a combination of economy, mobility, environment, the people within the city, how we live within the city, and of course our local governance. So when we look at a city and we look at the individual buildings within a city, we're looking how we're expanding both outward and upward. We need to see how these techniques that we can implement to make these new developments and projects more self-sustainable and not over-leverage our existing infrastructure. So one such solution is the microalgae to be able to treat wastewater in a building. So you're placing it on the rooftops, on the facades of a building, and the algae actually treats the wastewater to a point where it leaves the building clean enough to be able to use for sanitation, both externally and internally. So that wastewater is then refined and then is also used to be able to flush the toilets, etc. The biomass that the algae actually produces can then be harvested to be able to use for heat production and power. And this solution specifically is able to actually power the building as well as produce over €1 million per year in additional revenue, paying back the overall investment cost of this solution over a 6 to 8 year period of time. The next solution that we're looking at looks at intelligent streetlight systems. We've heard a lot about intelligent streetlight systems, but streetlights have really not evolved since the 70s. And at that time, mostly everything else has. So it's these types of solutions that take energy savings to a whole nother level by making streetlights more of an on-demand service than just constantly on. The intelligent streetlight systems basically use very intelligent sensors where they're able to dim and brighten up the lights when needed, and then can also be able to measure traffic for big data analytics and refine management systems for the traffic. Streetlights account for over 40% of municipal electric budgets. So it's solutions like these that can actually save the municipality up to 70 to 80% of those budgets, and in turn the municipalities can then reinvest those in more projects along these lines. The last solution, excuse me, we see as a groundbreaking technology from the EV scene, where it's possible to charge your EV wirelessly and thereby foregoing those individual charging stations for the different EVs. By installing receiver pads in the charging stations, and the charging goes on automatically when you come to those charging stations, you're creating more of a universal system. This universal charging mechanism could be one that is used when you see all of the different devices that we've had today. We've talked about different devices, different connection types, different power plugs. Whether it's Apple to Samsung, your cell phone to your laptop to your desktop, every single device has a different charging device. So now, when we're looking at the cars, how can we create a more of a universal plug-and-play option that works for all of the different cars? This is just a little bit of a snapshot on some of the 100 solutions out there. And the Sustainia 100 really takes into consideration the bigger picture of all the solutions that are available and how each one of those different solutions start to come together to bring our cities and make them smarter. From information technologies like we heard just now of Microsoft being able to go in and define all of the different points where they can make changes, it's really fascinating. So this was a sneak peek, and at the end of the year we have our Sustainia Award ceremony where we're going to be awarding our winner out of this 100 solution, which is chaired by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's a little bit of the green equivalence, if you will, of the Oscars. and the Sustainia Award. So you're all invited to join us in Copenhagen on November 7th. And then I would just like to take a quick second to be able to thank all of our partners, international foundations, companies and organizations from around the world that really make our work possible. These are kind of innovators in their own regard and able to drive this forward. So I hope that this is really only the beginning and that you'll stay in touch and let us provide you with insights to some of the groundbreaking sustainable solutions and innovations from around the world. There are many, so come get engaged, get online, plug in with our team, and we'll be in touch. Thank you very much.